Welcome back, everybody, to Gringos Liberados. This is our break week episode. We wanted to keep rolling out the content for you. My name is Trajan. I'm joined once again by Sobchan and RMC. And this week, because there's no games to talk about, we thought we'd do a little bit of a mid-split ranking. A catch-up, a stock take of this split of the CBLOL, everybody. And we're going to go through some awards. We're going to look back, give some awards to some worthy winners, and we'll see where that takes us, you know? So.
Yeah, we will.
Yes.
Exciting.
We did skip off a question from Lunar Day last week, which was about possible MVPs at this point. So don't worry. We've got a whole hour essentially answering that question. So never fear.
Yes.
But shall we just get into it? Shall we just show what we're looking at here? Because we've got some new awards.
Let's
At
dive
RMC's
in.
suggestion, we have some usuals. We've got MVP, Most Improved, Elo-Helled, and Biggest Flop. And Biggest Surprise, I think, which we used to do as well. And then we also have now added Best Vibes. The opposite of that, Emotional Damage. And Rookie of the Split was one we used to do as well. So we'll work up to MVP, I think. We'll keep Lunar Day in suspense. Then they have to watch the whole episode. Let's start at the very bottom. Let's go to Rookie of the Split. The youngins.
Yeah.
There's only two of them.
Effectively. Well,
yes.
wait, do we count Levitin and
So
Leandrin?
they've had 5 games, which is a reasonable number of games. I think it's fine to consider them
Okay.
as rookies here, because they legitimately are. So yeah, we can throw them in the mix.
Okay, sure, yeah. Just expand the pool a little
So
bit.
they're in. Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that we have more than 2 as well. Like, even if it's by the end of the split, 2, 'cause we had so many.
For
I
sure.
feel like the last couple of splits, and we had a lot of fun, exciting names joining here, but a lot of them were old hands. But it's not like the rookies have been slacking. You know, we're continuing the momentum built by Super Clever and Makes and the like from last split. Yups and Dioj, I think, had a very, very strong start.
Agreed. Shall we get on to what we consider to be the rookie of the split?
Just throw it
Should
out.
I start? Is that
Do you have a
Go for it.
all
answer?
right? So, as much as we are including Liberty's new rookies,
Mhm.
I don't think they have performed as well as the INTZ rookies. So, to me, between Yups and Dioj, I would give this to Dioj, because I think in the mid lane he's had the most impact in the team, and I think individually he's been playing really, really well.
Yeah, agreed. I said it, I think, in the first episode that I feel like it's unfair for Yups, unfortunately, when we're going to discuss Rookie of the Split, because I think Yups is great. I think Yups is amazing. But he's got freaking Dioj coming at the same time. So
Yeah.
I'm still with Dioj. I think Dioj has been having a massive impact. His laning got a lot better, too. I remember when he
did.
started the split, he was like bottom for GD at 15. And now it's like,
Yeah.
hey, he's actually picked that up. He's still pumping out the damage. He's still having massive impact. Yeah, Dioj all the way.
Yeah, it was all eye test before for Dioj, where like, yes, he's down 50 CS, but did you see that Yone ult? You know, kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and
Did you see
was-
that Talia wall? Trump would be proud.
yeah, wow. Okay. We're supposed to not get political on this podcast anymore. I'm
Oh, my bad,
We've
my
already
bad.
gotten too political on this podcast.
I forgot he's still running and he wasn't taken up by criminalization or anything like that. My bad,
you
my
know,
bad.
shockingly so.
There you go.
You know. Jeez.
Oh, we don't have an American on this episode.
No, so no one to
Well,
defend
you
them.
know what?
Nice. We can just
Yep.
rip into the US with no
Bash
defense.
it.
Love that. Love that.
We can blame for that. He's our token American.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I think Dioj, I think it's the fair call here. Yups has been very solid. It's not necessarily been a big splash like Super Clever makes made last time, but it's been a very solid member of this team. And I think I enjoyed the interview that you had with us as well. I think he seems like a good egg. But I love as well that when they were talking to the rookies, I think it was Dioj who'd said, like, these old players, they just like, they don't, go for the gap anymore, as it were. They don't go for like the win. They play to just play out the lane, and these are like, these younger players will go for the win in the matchup, and you can see them trying to do that, which I think, sometimes it goes well, sometimes it goes bad. Sometimes you run up into Tinones or whatever and you get slapped for trying to step up to him, and that happens, but you got to learn that way. So I love that they're going for it at the very least.
Me too.
And let's call it for Dioj.
Okay.
Okay, and as a reminder for
Right,
everyone,
unanimous decision.
we'll revisit this
Yep.
at the end of the split. This is our mid-split kind of standings here. But we will come back to these when we do our pre-playoffs, and we'll do a tier list as well later on. So this is our current state of affairs. So yeah, let's go up to emotional damage. Let's really get that one out of the way. And you know, normally we could just have an award like this, and we'd just check Payne's record and then check RMC's pulse and be like, "How's he doing?" You know. But because we're doing this mid-split, they're doing great.
for a change.
It's perfect timing. So RMC doesn't get the freebie answer of Payne Gaming just as an entity. So do you have another thought for us, RMC, as to what has been causing you emotional damage this year?
You know, it's kind of funny because originally this award in my head, kind of like the Elo-Helled award, right? We jokingly call it the NinjaKiwi award. Emotional damage to me used to be all about literally damage because of the way he engages can like absolutely flip and throw teams. Damage has been doing well. So right now, my biggest emotional damage is somewhat linked to Pain as well. It's the father, the 40-year trapper, BRTT. Oh geez, man, like just even talking about him hurts right now. Like yeah, I mean, and we should clarify, emotional damage doesn't mean the worst performer or biggest flop.
No,
that's like a different thing.
No,
emotional damage is just whatever scars you the most right now. And to me right now, that's just BRTT going, was it 1 in 10 right now? Is those grandes?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's tough out there for the grandfather of the region, and you can kind of see it on his face. I think there is dejection there. He's still speaking, like, you know, not confidently but professionally when asked about how he thinks the split's going. You know, like, he's honest, but he's not like despaired. The despair is for us as the viewers. We feel the despair watching the losses rack up.
The historical thing too, right? He came back to try and catch up with Robo one last time. Right? If he wins the split, he can still end as the most successful player of all time. Yeah. This is the last split of CBLOL. Mans comes in. He's eliminated by the end of week 5. Like those guys can't even make playoffs anymore. Like this is not how he wanted to go out.
No, it puts a stamp on it.
Yeah, and definitely a very big emotional damage stamp on my head.
Yeah, as our Brazilian,
that's my choice.
Resident here.
That's my choice.
There.
I cannot.
You as well? Okay,
yes, it is BRTT emotional damage for me because, man, it doesn't even matter what were my actual objective expectations towards him this split. I just had my rose tinted glasses, you know, and it said father all over them, you know.
Just
like it's it just pains me so much. The legacy, the meaning that this man has had in our competitive League of Legends, it's just incredibly saddening and tilting, but incredibly saddening.
100%. Yeah. Now, Trajan, if this was last week, I would have been able to guess, I think, what it would have been last week. But after this Super Week, I'm actually not sure what your biggest emotional damage is so far.
Yeah. So, like, there's a lot of... Because emotional damage doesn't necessarily... The visceral jarring can be damaging, right? And traumatizing in itself. And so... Kaboom Esports has really been because even when they just decide to be good again for like next to no visible reason other than they promoted an academy jungler and they're like, now everyone's good again. We promoted a jungler and now Natuno and Seos are just not going to run it down in the 2v2. Malrine wasn't there. Scary's not there either. They've just decided to be good now, and it's like, we could have always done this. Why now? Why have you decided that now is the time? And I'd given up hope. You heard me on the previous episodes. I had given up on this team. And just when I gave up, they were like, psych, idiot. It's scary. And now we're right back in it. And I'm like, you expect me to jump back on the bandwagon just like that? You're absolutely goddamn right. And I will.
So, he does.
But
how many times, old man, before you learn this is Brazil? Anything can change on a dime.
More. At least once more. So that's the damage that I have sustained. Now, that's a very personal experience for me. So I'm happy to put BRTT for the sake of the entire Brazilian region, which I think is experiencing that right now. And I think that's a solid answer. But I do just have to bring attention to how I personally have been attacked by Kaboom Esports week in, week out. So, you know, the one TikTok I made this year was bigging up this team, and this is what they did to me. So
it's time for you to repost it, Trajan. Now's the time.
It's time to bring it back out, and I'll just edit it, take Malrang out of it, take him out, put Scary in for the new chapter. So,
oh yeah.
Speaking of best vibes.
Yeah. Speaking of scary.
Scary.
Best vibes.
Speaking of the vibes guy.
Yeah.
Scary. The keystone, apparently. The master communicator, the group therapy session leader, and the team building exercise operator. Scary. Does anyone have some good other vibes, I guess, to discuss? Because we've already teed up Scary as a good vibes guy. He's definitely in the conversation. But Soph, do you have any other good vibes you'd like to add to the mix here?
Yes. I would like to bring attention to current coaching staff of Furia, Western Way.
Oh, true.
And I think... yeah, it's true. I think that was the biggest difference here, because you got basically a same team, aside from Jojo that, for his Zai last split. You got basically a same team here that has been playing together really, really well. That when you have Western Way coming through, they step up, they guarantee new strategies. Was it them or was it not that actually pulled off the first successful poke composition in CBLOL history? Huh? Because there's something to talk about the coaching staff about here.
The vibes in that game and on the cast were very good, because it was just such a we're coming to bigger surprise after this. Like, it's got a good foot in both of these camps. Like, it was just so like, wow, we're just doing it, and they never. They never dropped it. They never dropped the ball. I'm always waiting for the teams to drop the ball, and they just didn't. And that was great.
Yep.
It was encouraging stuff. Certainly whenever I think about Furia and plan and think what they're going to do, that is an excellent vibe. They just do have very good vibes. They have one of the few teams that are actually growing visibly week on week. Yep. A lot of teams are just good or are just bad. But Furia are evolving, as it were.
Yeah, 100% agree. I was actually talking to Soap Chat a little bit before we started recording, and I was thinking of Super Clever as a vibes guy, because from the interviews and the way just he carries himself and all that, he seems like a really nice vibes guy, like really chill, really good for the team, just some epic plays. And Soap's just like, yeah, but they're 1 in 10. I was like, okay, that's fair. I guess the vibes aren't good enough,
Yes, to carry.
If you just like trim off the rest of the map and just look where he is, then you're like,
if you just say, like, kind of ignore the bot lane a little bit, and then like the mid lane a lot, and then like the jungle as well, they've got good vibes.
Good vibes.
It's
the top lane island, good vibes.
Yeah, he's chilling on the island, man.
He's relaxing, getting like the sort of Hawaiian pool party singed, or like Hawaiian Rumble vibes, like Rumble in the jungle up there. He's just having a good time.
Yeah, just drinking out of a pineapple.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
it's got to be scary for me still.
It's got to be scary? Sure.
Yeah.
I think Scary is still a very suitable option. I think if we decide to go through there, I'm totally in agreement. I just wanted to also bring another option here that I think is also valid.
Yeah, I think other options for good vibes, honorable mentions, I guess, for good vibes. One of them for me would be Jojo specifically. I guess in the same way for Furia, just as another piece of this like excellent puzzle coming together, especially recently. He's looked so key to that, and he's so active and just like so himself, It's like ultimate Jojo being allowed to do exactly what he wants kind of thing. And then the other option would be Pain Titan, because I think Pain Titan's vibes are immaculate these days. I think Pain are on top. Titan is maximum Titan mode. Like the smallest outplay and he's up out of his chair. He's like fist bumping people who are trying to lane, and like he's just doing all sorts of stuff. And he's maximum Brazilian mode right now, which is obviously excellent vibes. And just they're on such a tear that I just love to see it. I love to see Titan.
Is there an actual word for Titan's vibe, like Sheshkadela or something like that?
Sheshkedele.
There we go.
Sheshkedele.
What's
there? You go. The man actually has a name for his vibe. So
you don't translate a vibe. That's not how vibes work.
You get it. I get it. We get it.
Yeah. So I think. Scary... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Titan are scary now because they're talking up a lot of Titan right now. I
think
Scary. I still think it's scary.
Has made just such a huge difference, just inexplicably that like. Titan is this is a familiar energy, but I think it's just very powerful right now. So I think he deserves mention. But I think we can put Scary here for fixing.
That's fair. We can save Titan for when Pain wins the entire split.
Yeah, and then the vibes will be just unmatched,
off the charts at that point.
Off the charts,
pristine. Yeah. But Scary has potentially saved the entire Kaboom organization from being dropped from the region in like 6 months.
From imploding.
He is carrying the org. Biggest surprise. So similar on that vein, I guess I'd phrase it as like the Kaboom turnaround, like the Scary effect he has had on Kaboom, rather than just necessarily giving it to Scary, because Scary is not a new guy. We know who Scary is. He's been in and out of the CBLOL for a few years, but the effect is just marked on the rest of everyone else. Does anyone else have a surprise they'd like to surprise us with, I suppose?
I think for me, maybe this is a little bit subjective and personal. Trigo was actually my personal biggest surprise. I wasn't super high on Trigo when he left the region, and then when he got benched in LLA, I was like, oh damn, he washed.
It's a quiet and sad end, potentially.
Yeah. I didn't think he was going to come back in the first place into CBLOL Direct. I actually expected him to be in Academy. And then he came back, and not only did he come back, but Trigo has actually been a good part of this Fluxu roster. And even in their recent struggles, I think Trigo is doing really solid. Like, he's not carrying the team anymore, granted. I mean, he's not on a gen, but he's also not an issue whatsoever. Like, he's still not the steadiest parts of this team. So I think for me personally, Trigo has been one of the biggest surprises.
Okay. I like that. So to be fair, because I was given some space for Western Way on the best vibes, I did put Scary on biggest surprise.
Sure, that's also fair. Yeah, like there's a connection there for sure. I think I like Trigo as well, because I was also very much on the like, nah, he's just done. He's going to fade into obscurity at this point, and came back and was just slotted weirdly well into this formula, and was doing, and he's always looked the best, I think, in this formula when he's allowed to play to his strengths, not play Lucian. So I think that he has been somewhat sacked a little bit, and the drafting has not necessarily always been to his favor. But when it has been, he's looked super competitive and just like slotted right into this meta, which I think I found very surprising, because I was ready for him to just be the issue. So I kind of like Trigo, I guess.
Yeah, me too. Okay. I think that's a great shout.
I think he deserves some accolade as well, some credit, and I like this is a way to give the man some credit for being like, no, he did not disappear. We did not have high hopes, but he absolutely exceeded them. So excellent job, Trigo. I hope you guys can start winning again at some point.
Just play the Jhin, I guess.
Just play the Jhin again, man. Yeah.
Do you want them to start winning at some point, Trajan? Because the next match for
is it Kaboom?
Sure.
Is Kaboom?
This was like at some point, we'll let him get to 6.
That's right. Okay.
Not necessarily now.
Because after Kaboom, it's like Liberty or something, right?
Lost
or loss, even worse.
Yeah, so that's
they're just like the same thing,
or better. If you looks better.
Go 6 and 6. Let Kaboom have the win, and then let's pick Jhin.
I'm straight chilling. They already played against Pain and Pain won last week.
Yeah,
So I'm
it's all
still
good.
chilling for Fluxu.
Sweating out the Fluxu match. Not a surprising sentiment that we'd have from last split. Pain sweating out the Fluxu matchup, but there you have it. Okay. Biggest flop. Now, there's, we've touched on elements of Los Grandes already. And the discussion I think that we need to get to is has BRTT emotional damage? Absolutely. Has his split flopped, do you think, in terms of him as an individual?
I think as much as I wanted this to be more objective than emotional damage for me, I still think it was a little subjective. And particularly, I think the problem is the amount of high expectations I had for him anyway.
Yeah.
That to me just feels like the biggest discrepancy is like from the ceiling, below ground.
Yeah.
I have no ground, like, and to me, VRTT does
fair.
take both of them, and that's just how I feel.
It's just, you gotta be true to yourself at that point.
Yeah,
I respect that.
I do.
Yeah.
Understandable and fair.
Do you have another RMC? I have another one as well that isn't BRTT, but do you have?
Same. I actually didn't have BRTT because maybe I'm gonna get blamed for this, but I thought when BRTT played in 2021, split one, and actually won, I think he got carried by Robo and Tinones. Pain Bad's are going to play me for that.
By the true
yeah,
goat, Robo, about to outstrip him in titles just in time.
Has already guaranteed outstrip. It's guaranteed.
Gifted him his last one, and then was like,
True.
now I'm going to head off and get the next 3 or 4 or 5, and then we'll all see the truth of it, 2 years down the line.
Funny when BRTT was part of the team that gave Robo his first championship.
So
actually,
there's a mutual trading going on.
Yeah.
Not the kind
It's
of
the
win
circle of
trading
life.
that happens in solo queue. Though the Brazil sometimes
No, not at all.
Though
not
Brazil
at all.
looks like maybe it has some win trading that happens in solo queue. It's
No.
not
This is
actually true.
CBLOL, not VCS. We're fine.
Yeah,
we're fine.
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. No. Shots me far left and right today. I didn't think BRTT looked already that hot anyway. So coming in, the flop, yes, it's disappointing. Yes, it caused me the most emotional damage.
Yeah.
Am I statistically surprised? Not really. And he wasn't even the worst AD carry to start. I think that the vibes of that team have dragged the entire team further down.
Yeah.
If anything,
for sure.
my biggest flop is still that team. But I'm putting more weight on Cabby and C's. And so my biggest flop was Cabby. Because I think Cabby did incredible last split.
Yes.
Right? Like, he was paired with Celo and people were bashing Celo. I don't think Celo was that terrible, but
Yeah.
people were bashing Celo and everybody's like, oh, it's the Cabby carry in the bot lane. Well, you got BRTT. Where's our carry now? Right, Cabby? Like, friend, even when BRTT's like on Ezreal and Cabby's allowed to roam free, he looks better.
Yeah.
But he still doesn't look like Cabby from last split. And
yeah.
Yeah, so to me, biggest flop, I had Cabby. I blame the other side of the bot lane for that one.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a big drop off. A really big drop off. Now I have a different one as well. I have a different one entirely. So we're gonna have 3 choices here. Mine is Makes. Because Makes was
you know what?
1v9ing. Put this Liberty roster on the map, I would wager, was Makes. Got them single-handedly a couple of those first big wins, and gave us a Darius pentakill, and was being played around as a win condition player last split.
Yeah.
In this split, my guy has been invisible. He has been worse than that, potentially. Because RMC and I have already had this discussion as to whether invisible or actively running it down is worse. But he's been, both. No, it's like, it's been disastrous. I can't think of a single time where I was like, oh, there's the Makes that we grew to know and love last split. I think it's just completely dropped off. And that was even when they still had Drake here. They now have Leveson. Nothing's really changed here. So I think for me, on a Liberty roster that is already struggling, I think in the same way that VKS not having Godlike Gigo hurts their map, I think that Liberty not having Godlike Makes really hurts their map on an already struggling setup. So Makes is my choice for this.
Okay.
Makes a lot of sense. I think what is I would say maybe a differential in my judgment is again, but we have released this time with the Croc interview. Croc mentioned what I think is the biggest difference. No, not Croc. It was the Gigo interview. Gigo mentioned the biggest difference now for Makes is the fact that the meta does not allow the champions that he likes to play. You cannot do the Darius. You can't do like heavy damage, get into the backline and just do a lot. Whereas the problem is you should have adapted. So I agree with you, Trajan. Like the fact that they haven't really been able to adapt to the current meta and make something that is impactful and substantial to maybe get them into something close to a win, you know, is a biggest flop. I agree, because man, that's just how the game is. You got metas and patches and you got to adapt.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that is fair.
I'm willing to vote Makes.
Yeah, I think definitely all solid choices. Sure. Unfortunate to have
Cabby
so
was
many
a great one
to have so many viable flops. It's not a position we like to be in, but sadly, such is life. And we'll see if Makes and Liberty can turn it around, as they have started to creep back into the realm of the living just a little. And maybe if we finally get rid of TF top, maybe Makes will be allowed to play the game again. My goodness. So, moving on to, this is always my favorite, is the NinjaKiwi award for the most Elo-Helled player. The NinjaKiwi Memorial...
I'm so happy it's not NinjaKiwi award anymore.
Yes, the NinjaKiwi Memorial Tombstone for most Elo-Helled player. Because NinjaKiwi is now, you know, thriving, moisturized in his lane, just chilling out on a nice, well-rounded INTZ roster that have a ways to go, but have shown they've got good building blocks there. Love that for him. So finally, it is not the NinjaKiwi victory here. And again, I think there's a couple here. I won't go first this time, actually. I'll let someone else go first.
Yes, please do.
RMC, would you like to drop a bomb?
Wait, that's good stuff, because mine... I don't know how controversial mine is.
Okay, so why don't you give us the nice milquetoast neutral, uncontroversial choice, I guess, just to really, whatever that is. I don't even know what that is.
Watch so drop the biggest bomb on
yeah, the craziest take of the season.
No. Titan is Elo-Helled by Pagan.
Jesus fucking Christ. That was the hottest take in flames I've ever seen.
That was
insane.
See, this why I can't go first.
That was heat.
Well, there you go.
Right, give us a suggestion, Soph.
Not bringing in the heat. To me, actually, a very straightforward answer. Super Clever is the most Elo-Helled. His team, no sugarcoating, sucks right now, and he's the only one pulling games, pulling team fights, pulling 1v1s, 1v2s, 3s. Doesn't matter. He's the only one getting anything of individual credit in this roster. So there we go.
Okay.
Yep. It is an uncontroversial take. It's a very solid choice. Now, RMC,
thank you.
Why don't you
I just want to add some spice on that, though.
Yeah.
Los Grandes is one win. The MVP was not Super Clever on that win.
Was it BRTT?
All I'm saying. No, actually. It was Cabby.
What?
That's why I know this, because I called him the biggest flop, and he was the only
MVP that's ever happened this split on that team. That flop artist, mate. Flop here for him. Yikes.
Hey, man, you need hype to get the flop, you know? That's all.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you do.
That's true. Okay. Right. RMC, you've keyed us up with this Cabby spike. What's
no, so
this is when he picks Cabby as well after just with like
Cabby biggest flop. No, mine was actually FNB on Red Cannons. Yeah. I know it's kind of weird when Red seems to be turning around and doing well. But throughout they turned around and stopped doing terribly.
Yeah, lousy.
Yes, I don't know if it's controversial or not. I feel like earlier this week, CBLOL posted on their Twitter about the fact that FNB has won MVP every single win Red has. So Red has won 4 times. FNB has 4 MVPs. And I was looking at that going...
The guy is huge.
Yeah, like we knew FN Boss was big. We knew that he was the one guy not inting on Red.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I didn't realize the fact that not only is he not inting, but every win has been off his back.
Yeah.
Like that man must have the broadest shoulders in Brazil by now. The way he's carried Liberty, he's carried Red. Like I don't know. Like
he's done it all, man.
yeah. Wait, was he on
Wait,
Renska?
no, that's Chiari. Sorry, Chiari. That was
Yeah,
Chiari.
okay.
Let's go.
Yeah, but like FNB is starting to become the new NinjaKiwi for me. Like the man deserves a trophy, man. Please.
He's just like,
Yeah.
you could put him on any team roster that's won the CBLOL in the past like 4
Yeah.
years, and they would still easily win, and maybe even easier in some cases. You know, like
Yeah.
I hadn't come to a conclusion yet. But the two I was choosing between was Super Clever and FNB. So I'd wanted to
Okay, so it wasn't that hot take from my
I'd
part.
wanted to come with FNB as the less obvious answer.
Yeah.
And I was gonna temp check the room and see, does anyone else agree that FNB is Elo-Helled, or is like, am I forgetting someone on red? I'm glad to hear that maybe not. I think, like, especially the way that FNB's mid jungle is like clowning around the rift a lot of these times. Like, he has so much work to do, and I think like so many times like, oh, this red game looks so much better, and we watch it again and we're like, no, this FNB game actually looked really good. That's actually what happened in retrospect.
Yeah.
But I kind of still want to vote Super Clever, just because of the true, just dire nature of his situation. Like,
Yeah, I get
unbelievable nightmares around him, and he had like, and just in contrast with the 1v4 triple kill, one by one, just they will send everyone. Loud will send everyone to me, and just watching his team do nothing anywhere on the map while this is happening, like, bro, just help this man out. So I kind of want to vote Super Clever as well. Though I think FNB is a very good guess, and I'm glad that it's a better guess than I'd maybe thought it was.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Actually, go on.
No, go ahead. So go first.
I was gonna say that reminds me of the fact that I was considering Aegis for a biggest flop, and I forgot.
I mean, they've been bad, man. They've been bad. Because
They've been really bad.
That Diana game, man, also traumatized.
Grandpa's even
it's
had
just the
growth
fact that you would
games.
expect so much more.
I know, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, this guy is just the best jungler, better than Croc, better than Karaoke for split after split while Loud were winning. I was like, no, Aegis is the best. And there's just no universe in which that can be pitched right now. Like,
Maybe
is he even
no,
top half?
absolutely
Like,
not.
no.
Yeah. It's
So-
funny
Right
too, 'cause
now,
this,
no.
this should be his meta. It's carry
I know,
junglers.
it's play whatever you want, AP nonsense. Like, this is...
So if we do revisit anything after we're done, I'm just giving this memorable mention
100%.
to Aegis for biggest flop.
Biggest flop.
How
yeah.
did Desamus
He was
get
up
to,
there
like...
for emotional damage for me. But...
How did Desamus get to the AP jungles before Aegis, man? What is going on? Ridiculous. Like, the
Coach
Vi
Cialda.
Maokai Sedge, like,
Yeah.
truest. Like, I think, has C's deigned us with an AP jungler yet? He was like the ultimate I'm dog jungling every game from like last split. It's just like Sedge
C's?
in every game.
Who sees? Never seen him.
True, I guess.
Yeah, he did actually play Zyra. I think,
did?
during Super Week. Yeah, it was.
Never seen
When's the last time you saw C's play? I'm just saying, there's a reason why. There's a reason why we're talking about Super Clever as Elo-Helled.
Yeah, because his jungle doesn't exist and his bot lane are...
The saying is hell is other people for a reason.
Hell is my jungle every game. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a Talia jungle as well.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so he's not completely missed the boat, but it was so unmemorable that I forgot, which is kind of indicative, I guess, in itself.
Yeah, exactly. Sees who? Yeah. Actually, I was gonna ask, kind of tangential to the question, but if we put FNB on Los Grandes, do you think they'd have won a second game by now?
They have pretty similar pools and impacts on the game, I feel. Like, there's Rumble for carrying, there's Skarner and Cassante and things for utility. I don't know if Supergo's been playing much Cassante, and I don't know if FNB's been playing as much Skarner, but like, there's a lot of utility tanks and frontliners there, where the value gained utility-wise in team fights can be what wins them the fight, and they both have an absolutely crispy rumble. So I don't know if they would, because I feel like it doesn't change stylistically the team at all, and if you don't change the style, Super Clever has not like been letting them down in what he's offering, I think. And I don't know if FNB would be able to. I'm like, we've seen a team fail to use FNB, you know, for the whole time on Red as well. They were failing to get lots of wins while he was really good. So I don't think Los Grandes would have would have a difference there, really.
Okay.
I think a difference for Los Grandes would have been if Sheeny was instead of Seeds.
Sure, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I'd agree with that.
Same.
He's coming fresh, you know, like there's... Yeah.
I like how we talk about one of the oldest players, or he's probably one of the oldest players, and we call him fresh.
Yeah, the fresh young upstart.
Yeah,
fresh man has been fermented into some top tier cuisine right now.
Yes, he has been casked up.
He's the kimchi of CBLOL.
Hey, he's spicy. I'll give him
that. There you go. Okay, so for Elo-Helled, we're gonna go for Super Clever here.
Yep, that's right.
And I'm gonna just make it visible. There we go. Right. Back on the upswing here. Most improved. Now this is an interesting one. It's always an interesting one because it's quite a fine art, I think, defining the level of improvement here. I'm gonna toss out, and the way that we've done this in the past, to be clear, is improved from the last time that we saw them play over a split boundary. So if they were really bad in split 1 and now they're good, they've improved. Even if they were really bad in split 1 and they like won the championship the split before, if they were bad in split 1, that is an improvement. It is kind of in its own little like we're trying to sort of, you know, tell lies about climate change and like cut the graph off like right at the little bit. Like that's what we're doing. So if it's recent, then that's counts.
The example. That is an example.
And in that vein, I would like to present Tuts as an option. Because I think Tuts' split 1 was rough and a snoozer, and Furia admittedly was going through some stuff. But I think Tuts did not have anything to offer really, and he's come back in here and he's gone right back up to the top, contesting for like the top spot in mid laners. Playing very solid mages, playing other things as well. He's playing the AD mids as well when needed. He's being varied and he's being very effective. So and that's just been very noticeable for me just because I was so aware of how much he was lacking from what I wanted last split. So that's a suggestion for me. I don't know if it would be my final choice yet, but that's a starter for us. That's
fair. I think in terms, like, he's just doing a lot for his team in general right now. Yeah. He actually has the highest damage share on his team. Not in the league, because I think Pilot and How's outstrip him. Yeah, How's I think this week.
Pilot is also probably for damage share.
Pilot's situation is very, very different.
There's a potential Elo-Helled situation going on for Pilot as well on Liberty right now.
Actually, very much. Very right. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, we should have honorable mention Pilot.
Yeah, honorable mention for Pilot for sure. Because my word, they can't get it together. Okay, some other improved players. Who's got an improved player?
I think Soph and I have the same one.
Yes, we indeed do. Smiley.
Absolutely.
Last split, it just felt like VKS was holding the fort for Smiley. Smiley was just enabling them. They weren't really like making that big of a difference, especially in the early games. Like Smiley was always falling behind, and this split, you know, standing a good ground, not necessarily winning every single time, but standing good ground against Pain, against Loud, and especially getting to that mid to late game transition much more smoothly, and also enabling VKS to get wins even when they are behind in the early game, which is something that I don't feel like Smiley had any impact at all last split. So good job.
Like, last split, he was almost an active detriment, right? Like to his team's laning. He was like a bottom 3 laner in a league with Cello and Mikau, right? Yeah. So Smiley last split really rough. Even when they played against Pain, it felt like that was the biggest problem, was that they couldn't get out of laning phase without a massive deficit. Now this split, some fun facts about Smiley. He actually leads all AD carries in DPM, even with picks like Ashe to start the season. And he's actually topping the AD carries.
He's not been playing like only carries, for sure.
Yeah, I think he's the second highest DPM in the entire league. It's a mid laner on top right now. I can't remember. Probably House, actually. That'd be my guess.
The boy.
And then gold difference at 15. Smiley is now the second best bot laner in laning in terms of GD at 15. Number 1 is Titan, 819. Second is Smiley at positive 761. And then there's a massive freaking gap between Smalley and the next
Wow.
person. By the way,
Who is
number
it?
3 is hilarious.
I
don't
wait,
think
wait.
y'all will be able to
So what's the stat again? Sorry, is it gold?
Goal difference at 15
Gold difference.
for bot laners. Number 3, the gap between number 2 and number 3. So Smalley's 761. The next person is 221. So like,
Rude.
Is it
Third.
BRTT?
No,
no,
it's rude.
but you're kind of close. It's Leandrin.
Really?
What?
Wow.
Yeah, it's Leandrin.
All right.
I can't believe this. I mean, I knew Leandrin was a lane player, like was good in lane. I did not expect them to be third.
Hell yeah.
But goal difference at 15 right now. They're third, surprisingly.
Give it to him. He has to
Root's
lay
number
with
4.
Carvalho
So
as well.
you're pretty
Aha.
close. So. Yeah.
What? Yo.
I know, right?
Hey, pop off, Leandrin.
Give
Pop
it to
off.
him. Give it to him. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, the turnaround from Smalley is just huge. So
Yes.
I had
Yeah.
100%. And I think as well, you know, if this was award for most improved level of Brazilian naturalization, Smiley also wins. Because he is also
True. Yes.
the only one contesting Titan for a number of times jumped out of chair to scream abuse at the opponent team's fans. Like, he is...
You love it.
He is
You
like
love
everyone.
it.
He's letting everyone know.
I love how people are saying like Smalley's a really chill guy at first, right? Like it's like, oh, the first time he did it, everyone's like, oh, I'm so surprised he'd do
Whoa,
such a
yeah.
thing. Like, and then now it's just like, nope, it's almost every other week.
He's going again. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I
True.
like Smiley. I think that is a great choice. Absolutely. Good job, Smiley.
Let's go for him.
Okay. I think it's time. It's time for the big one.
Okay.
It's the time.
The front runner for split MVP. Now I have a soapbox to get on about this.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And that soapbox is for Curry. Payne Curry. And not just because I predicted this at the start of the split, which I did, but let's just go back and watch the last Alistair game he played. And then I'll say nothing, and you could just watch that and watch him get the 5-man Alistair tower dive engage that cracks an inhib into the 4-man dragon pit engage that wins the game. And be like, well, what else can he do? What else must we ask of him? And this is a team with a all guns blazing Titan on it, top of the DPMs, like absolutely firing off. Weiser as well, who picked it back up after a really slow start. But Curry is enabling them so insanely well, and still has the flexibility in draft. He has the threat of things like the Nico and the Ashe, but can also just, if they ban him out, and if we need the answer to be a bog standard season 1 champion that is Alistair, he will still 1v9 every fight on it. It's astonishing.
Yeah.
So that's my guy right now.
Yep.
Okay. Well, on the same vein, I'm also looking at the paintball lane, but I did put Titan on this one.
Okay.
And yeah, I think the guy is just from what we saw last split in particular, like there was some moments where you felt like Titan was inconsistent, or he would only like have a little bit of an advantage if they won the lane, or if the lane was in a good position for them. So it was heavily reliant on the draft being extremely good for Payne, which I think this split they have been varying better and just making good use of what they pick in a better way as well. I think you're totally right. Kuti is one of the biggest keys in the fact that Titan is performing as well as he is. But I think there's also a very good personal improvement from Titan in managing not to, be taken so much by the emotion of we're going in and we're going aggressive and we're just going to completely run it back and see where it goes. No, it's a little more calculated. I think they've probably learned some from VKS and how they had been playing as well. And I feel like, and of course, Root, one of the most calculated ADCs in the franchise. And I think he right now is the most valuable player all around, just from laning phase, growth, mid game into late game. It feels very much like a highlight of the split right now.
I don't think we've had a single Titan runs it down in a late game team fight because he's decided that he needs to, like, style thing.
Don't say it,
so
change it,
far.
don't cast a curse.
And even the only
No,
time
just
that comes to mind where I was like, okay, they've absolutely botched this. It was just the bot lane level 1 that was, I'm pretty sure, entirely Curry's fault. On the rail when he just like goes in for a level 1 trade, misses the crash down, just absolutely botches it to an unbelievable degree. I think they still get away with it and they win the game, but like that's the only time where I've been like, yikes, guys, that was awful. And that, I don't think that was Titan's fault at all. I don't think his support completely ran him down in that instance. So yeah, I can't think of a single time, a single like Titanic moment where like the unsinkable ship somehow sinks because Titans just decide to sink it somehow. Like, yeah. So yeah, we're not seeing, it's Titan with no downside right now, which is statistically
which is
insane,
amazing.
eye test insane, and a viable MVP. Like that's just the way way the guy is.
100% agree. If you had asked me this last week, I'd actually have said, not last week, the week before last, I guess. Before Super Week, I'd have said Root was probably my MVP this split. That man has been rock solid, but it looks like even his rock solid play can't save Loud right now. Loud has said, I believe Croc in the interview that you did so with him was saying, yeah, they're not playing their best right now. They're just trying to work on like the system and the fundamentals. So, yeah, so it's kind of hard for me to give Root MVP. To me, it's definitely Payne's bot lane. Completely unbiased this time, actually, genuinely.
It just
Titan
is.
and Curry. Yeah. I
picked
so
one
it's really
side,
a question
so
of just
took
who
the
to
other,
give it
and
to.
Armsy's taken both of them. Like they're just.
Well,
it's
I'll have to pick one,
like,
right? Yeah, it is. I remember at the beginning of the split, I actually thought Croc would be MVP this split. That didn't go well. I remember putting in brackets after that though, saying, "But I want Titan."
Right.
So you know what? Right now, I get
You're
to
happy.
choose Titan.
You left yourself the door open, and you're gonna go straight through it and take Titan.
Damn right. I have the key. I'm taking it. But that's it. I think either of them is a really fair shake. Like Curry, I think Curry has the better eye test in terms of just watching how they play. But the reason why I'm going to go with Titan at the end of the day as well is because Curry's there because Titan picked Curry. Right? Titan said, I want this guy. And I assume that in comms as well right now, a lot of those plays are amazing from Curry, but a lot of them probably also have Titan talking about comms saying, hey, there's the angle there. Because we know that Titan is very vocal and he's a big shot caller as well. So for all those amazing plays that Curry makes, those incredible engages, I'm going to attribute part of that success part of me to Titan. In addition to Titan's incredibly solid play right now, where he's not sprinting it down, he's not inting it. And I think the biggest thing that made me change my mind, I was actually hovering on Curry, was Trajan pointed out the one time they entered was Curry's fault.
It was so bad. It was so bad, man. It was so bad. It was absolutely abominable. But yeah, that I won't forget it, you know. But it's always good to have at least once. You got to stay humble, you know. It's good to have that.
Yes.
And I think something interesting is that this whole thing about just which of the Pain bot lane we like love more has completely eclipsed the fact that I think Karaoke also has a shout for this. Because he has been...
I put him initially too.
Yeah, the first... Because I thought so you might go for Karaoke, because I know you love a bit of Karaoke, and he is absolutely crushing it. The first on the scene with the AP meta, dived in head first, crushed on every pick, like, and is doing... He's doing what Aegis should have been doing. But and better even like he's because again there's just no downside. It seems like this team like have the bot lane is so good it's outshining an MVP level jungle performance from Karaoke. Which is currently ongoing. It's bonkers.
Until Karaoke gets a Lee Sin win, I find it hard to give him MVP. Brother picked Lee Sin. Both losses, by the way, that Payne has had the split have come off as Lee Sin.
That's crazy. Man.
Genuinely come off as Lee Sin. Like it's not even just like, oh, haha, he just picked Lee Sin in those.
It's just
games.
not.
He
good.
picked Lee Sin and did nothing. Yeah. So to me, it's like, bro, if not for that, I'd have MVP to you. But
it's not good. Yeah, Curry's got his real game.
I think it's exactly that.
Karaoke's got his Lee Sin games. Titan does not have he doesn't have like a Zeri game. He doesn't have a Jackie Love Zeri experience or anything like this to.
He had his Zeri game and it was good.
And it was good. So he gave himself the tools to run it down and did not do so. So props to him.
The fact that we're nitpicking between them.
This is good content for, and like there's an honorable mention maybe for FNB, who might have won the most MVPs or close to, despite the fact that his team has 4 wins. And is probably rivaling, like, is probably tying or close to tying for most MVPs in the season, because
You know,
He's not
He
having.
needs to win.
Yeah, he's not
I have-
having all
yeah.
perfect games as well. Like, yeah,
yeah, that's my point exactly. Like,
Yeah.
for example, if you think about FNB right now, the
Yeah.
level that he is, that we know that he is, and he has been playing, that doesn't save red
Mhm.
Kenneds. Think
Mhm.
about how much Gigo did last split, with the fact that Smiley was definitely a detriment in the bot lane, and
Yeah.
Gigo was still bringing much more value last split to VKS, getting them to first seed. Whereas right now, FNB is still performing incredibly well, but can't get red Kenneds into a good placement. So
yeah.
Well, I think
That's
that
my reasoning.
comparison is more Grevthar and Aegis versus Smalley Pro Delta last split. That's all I'm saying.
no, I agree. But the thing is, it's still two players versus how the top laners react to the two players not doing that well, you know?
Yeah, I think they needed to have some better results to contest. To have a chance of winning this award, they'd need to have a better record. I think we need to have seen that
Yeah.
translated more.
I think so.
But shout out for just being the only reason Red
Yeah.
ever wins, I guess. And then I think on like a more of a most valuable player, this guy just adds a lot kind of energy as well. I think as well, I want to again shout out Jojo on Furia, who just has been like so essential for them.
Yeah.
And enabling them to do this cool fun stuff. But yeah, again, some more wins
Maybe
needed.
we're
The start of
shouting
the
out-
split was a bit slow still, so
I'll shout out Shinny as well. We're shouting out,
yeah.
players.
Again, the
Absolutely.
reverse.
Back to the
Like
team.
if we just take that first 6 games, like we're probably talking about him right now. If we did this after week 3, like we're going, is it
Yep.
just
Oh,
shitty? Because
surely.
yeah, my word. So a lot of potential candidates that had unfortunate stumbles that keep them out of the practically pristine record of Pain's bot lane. So shall we give it to Titan, because you guys were both Titan favorers for the
I think we
actual
shall.
single front runner here.
Again, it's funny because Titan actually has. No, he doesn't have the least MVPs on his team. He's got 1 MVP shout out only, and Curry has like 3.
The Brazilian
But-
broadcast knows. They know what's up. They know.
That's why I said Curry's got the better eye test, but I think like Titan's actually
Yeah.
been more consistent. And
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
Shout out Dinka, Dinkedo, who doesn't have an MVP for his wins yet.
No. I mean,
Somehow.
I don't think
No,
he
no,
should
change
have
it. No, 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 no. Don't go there.
We'll save it for the we'll save it for the tier list, actually. Don't worry about that. When we get the tier list out,
Not
you and I
again.
are gonna come to blows over Dinkedo for like the 3rd year in a row.
Every year, yeah.
I'm like, he sucks, and you're like, he's fine, he's good. I'm like, no,
He's good.
like, it's fine. That's fine. It's fine. Okay, right. So there we have it. There's our
Amazing.
4. Now, what we can do to round out here is do our first, second, and third all-star teams. So for clarity, this is for top. This is who you think the best individual top laner is, not necessarily the top laner you would put in your super team of the CBLOL. So if we will pick 5 individual best players, and then we'll see what kind of team that looks like, and if it would even function. We can go through that a little bit after. So let's start at third. It's slightly hard to start at third because everyone kind of knows who their favorite is, but let's work our way up to that if possible. So for the third team,
Oh, okay.
for top laners. Now, there's... I'm just going to throw out some names. FMB, Wiser, Super Clever, Chiari, Robo, and Gigo maybe, I think. Well, ZZK is kind of good as well, but I think like the others are all, I think, tip it over ZZK.
Yeah.
Until he gets an Urgot win, I can't consider him, I'm afraid. So,
Wait, does he not have an Urgot one?
no, he lost both games.
Oh, damn. I mean, he looked really good on it, to be
He
fair.
did,
but
yeah.
That's what I'm
But
Yeah.
again,
It
if
was
FMB,
insane, those Urgot
you know,
games.
you got to get the wins at some point, you know, or we can't give you full marks. So
Are we not talking about first blood leader, Lonely in the top lane, 60% first blood rate?
we can have that conversation, you know. We can have that conversation, and as you know,
I am kidding. If any of you
Resident-
actually are considering him, I would be
No,
shocked.
I'm not. No. Even I will not pitch Lonely.
I mean, he's good, but not.
He's
top
good.
favorite yet.
He's better, I think. Okay, so third best. I would be inclined to say Super Clever, maybe.
I was going more towards FNB on this one.
Third. No.
That's
struck
interesting.
down to
Okay.
third.
Yeah.
Okay, give us your reasoning. Tell us about. Because you've already told us a little about the fact it's not translating,
yeah.
right? That kind of.
Exactly. I think it's one thing to be individually good, like we see, like from the players from Los Grandes, they're not connecting with the team.
Yeah.
And the fact that FNB it still is translating a little bit, but not that much. But we know that the quality of FNB, at least in my mind, I think the quality and consistency that FNB has had over the years
Yeah.
outranks what Super Collab has done
Yeah.
this year alone. You know?
Okay. Yeah.
That's my reasoning.
Yeah. RMC,
That's fair.
how do you feel about third?
I'm actually gonna go on that Chiari bit you
Yeah.
mentioned there, Trajan.
Ooh,
I
okay.
think, I think a lot of Fluxu's success was Chiari Shinny specifically.
Especially
Chiari
early
has
on.
With
the cannons.
I mean,
and things.
Chiari has been doing the third highest damager of all top laners, which is nothing to scoff at. He's actually the second best laning AD top laner right now, with a plus 700 gold difference at 15. Weiser's number 1 at 717. So he's actually really close to being on top. And his KDA has actually been pretty good too. I think he's third behind Weiser and Lonely. And Lonely has only had 5 games, right? So I think if what we've seen from Fluxu is if you get Chiari ahead, you win the game pretty much.
Yeah.
If you can accelerate him, he's the big win con for the team. And for that reason, I was thinking Chiari for my third All Pro.
I quite like Chiari actually. I think we can maybe Elo-Helled as he might be. I think Super Clever can be Elo-Helled all the way out of the top 3. And I think so. I like Chiari for 3, and then I would personally put FNB second.
Okay, I can go with that.
Yeah, that's what I had to. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I assume we're all putting Weiser first.
So who was your second then? If you had,
who was your original
I was
second?
actually trying to think about it. Yeah, I was just trying to think about it. The only one I had really thought was the first one, which I think we're all in agreement.
Yeah.
It's probably Weiser, right? It's
that's
it's
the one.
Weiser.
It is.
Absolute gold right now, man.
He's crushing it. Yep. Okay, I can't. If I could spell it, then maybe there we go. So if we looked
Good
at
job.
this maybe as top 3, I think that's perfectly fine. I think like
Yeah.
right down here below them, there's like Robo, Gigo, Super Clever.
I don't even have Robo top 5 right now.
Yeah, like maybe
Yeah,
we put
Robo's not doing well, bro.
Gigo, Super Clever.
It's regular
Robo,
season
put him
Robo.
6. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. So, and then like ZZKF, Lonely, and makes at the bottom. Yikes. So, I'm happy with this. I think as a 3, and generally they've all got plenty to offer.
Just as a side aside, I was looking at the top lane and I actually thought this was one of the most competitive pools. Like, there's nobody in the top side who I thought was like actively bad. Like, the worst for me was probably Makes, and even then, I think it's a lot of meta issues and just the way the team plays more than anything else.
Yeah. Generally, I think it is quite deep. The top lane pool, which is good. Jungle, Younglers. Now, we have spoken of karaoke. We very briefly touched on. We sort of briefly touched on Shinny from the first half. Dasamus has been mentioned by name once. Croc as well, you've mentioned as not quite being where you wanted him to be. So I think there's a lot of like, there's a fair few either good options that have the shine has come off them, which then are falling down into like the fine options for me. And we're running out of like, these are excellent picks, because we used to have like 4 or 5, and now we kind of have 2, I think.
We got a handful. Actually, Trajan, I know it's less like suspenseful and entertaining, but can we start from the top so that like we can eliminate?
Yes, I'm getting so
we can do that. We can do
confused.
that. We can do that. We can do that. So
Thank you.
so
Because I third, I think this one might be a bit.
shall we go ahead and
But I think the top 2 is easier.
and put Mr.
Karaoke on top.
Up in the top here.
100%.
And then for second, my immediate thought is Dasamus. But
I thought Shinny.
Shinny.
Not Shinny? Okay.
Yeah. I think there's
Shinny,
definitely an argument at this point, because like Shinny was so huge for the team in their wins.
The reason why I ended up putting Dasamus over Shinny was partially because Fluxu's slide right now. Again, I don't know why this has happened, but Shinny's going in and nobody's following up. I don't know if Shinny's not communicated properly that he's going hard, or whether it's like the team is just not following up on that. And for that reason, because of that confusion, I
Makes sense,
put
yeah.
Shinny
Kind of a-
below the
Kind of a
Sophist a little
Malrang
bit.
problem.
Mhm.
I didn't even include
Yeah,
Malrang, I noticed on here. I think he's
Kinda,
played
yeah.
more games than Scary still, but I just didn't even include him.
No, he has not after
He's
the
not.
Super Week.
Okay.
Ah,
No.
okay.
Because there was
Malrang.
there was a possible flopper call from Malrang as well, but he just didn't even make it onto this list of
Yeah, no,
rosters, so-
Malrang pulled a trick
Wow.
where he played, I think, 4 or 6 games in the zone.
Yeah.
4 games, yeah, and then
Yeah, and then
yeah,
pieced. So
yep.
okay, right. So who would you have third then, Soph? If you had Shinny second?
Yeah, I was gonna do the Summers, but I
Sure.
can totally
So it'd
like
be
Sure.
Shinny
agree
third for
with-
yourself then.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I would say
the
Dasama second,
The
Shinny
Summers,
third
then
as well.
Shinny.
And then
Yeah,
right
there's
behind
just much more
it,
consistency.
yeah, because like there's, I'm not sure how valuable Wiz is yet. I can't really tell.
Yeah.
He's had some absolutely exceptional games and some really just 5 out of 10, like he's here kind of games. So I think we'll see if the Nidalee energy continues, because we know how good he can be. So there's possibility for him to climb, depending on how Furia rounds out this season. But so keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, I put Wiz above just because I have a bit of recency bias for how Flux has
Yeah.
been playing and Fluge has been playing. But I could see it either way. Like, I think
Yeah.
Shinny did prove himself in the first 6 games very
Yeah.
comprehensively. So I'm fine with either.
And then
of those
there's
two.
Yampy kind of around that sort of 4th, 5th kind of area as well. Like,
Yeah, I would say so with Scary as well.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
That's
but
right,
like,
yeah.
okay, top 3 we have, right.
Yep.
Midge. Now, names that were in the conversation of top, kind of, we were doing the tier list style before, names like Leleko, I think, have dropped out of that conversation pretty convincingly. I also think
Yeah.
that Decado is not in this conversation. RMC, would
I
you like to
disagree.
engage with that assessment?
Oh, yeah.
I'll let Soph go first, so then we've got a bit of a buffer
Yeah.
between us.
Well,
Yeah.
I haven't really thought through exactly
Okay,
my
so-
3,
Yeah, so who's
but I
your
do
number
have a 1.
Who's
I
your
don't
one?
have a Tinos.
Yeah, Tino's number 1, yeah.
Yeah.
Tino is the one.
Uh-huh.
But then I don't think Jinketa would drop out of it.
Yeah.
I don't think he would be 2, but I don't think he would drop out of it.
We're just gonna have the same argument we
I
had
don't
last
know.
time.
I have to think about it.
Yeah,
Can I-
we're literally
Can
gonna
I,
have the same argument.
can I
Like,
first pitch that we have Tuts second?
you can pitch it.
Yeah, can I pitch that?
I might not catch it.
I think Tuts has been a way more impactful piece of his team than Decado has. They have very similar pools. And I think Tuts just seems more important. I'd rather have him on my team. He doesn't waste his time playing Ari games. That's for sure.
Okay, so
Get
first of all,
excited.
Dinkido's has he even played an He played what, 1 RE? Let me go check this. But before I do that,
I think
I,
House
did
played
have
more
Tuts
RE
as
games.
Go
my.
ahead, I'll do it.
I did have Tuts as my number 3.
Yeah.
To be fair, I had
Yeah.
Dinkido above Tuts, but I do think those are the top 3 mids
Right.
for me.
So
It's just a question of whether Dinkido or
yeah.
Tuts
So
is.
who do you
In my
think
case,
should be?
Dinkido.
Because I, as well, to because I've already said Decado's not there, I would put How's 3, and this is the same thing that I think we had last split, where RMC and I were debating over Leleko,
Yeah.
How's, and Decado at the kind of the boundary of S.
It's the same discussion we had.
And it's the same, it's
every
going to be
freaking
the
time
same
we do this.
discussion. So I think we're
Yeah.
probably just going to have to use. Soph, if you have Decado, then we can do it with Tuts and Decado. I think that's fair, unless you have a different.
Yeah, no, I am totally
Sorry, it's
fine
up.
with that. I was
Yeah.
just checking the records. He's played on the
Played
game
one
against
RE game.
Liberty. Yeah, 1 RE
Yeah.
game. I'm,
Yeah.
I'm just checking if there's another one.
Yeah,
There's
This split, no.
Aurelion Star.
That's it.
I think
Then
How's might have
there's a
played it twice. To be
way.
fair, like I think he's
You're not gonna complain about Dinkido in your
So-
house.
you know.
And
Yeah,
he was
it was just
surgical. He
one
had a
game.
7.0 KDA against Pilot.
Yeah, that one
yeah.
was really good.
Yeah,
So
against the
what
play,
were
he did
we
really
thinking?
well.
So we're
Um,
doing
So,
Dinkido Tuts.
so I think it should be Tuts Decado, but I think you guys are both Decado Tuts. So I can, if it's 2 to 1,
Yeah.
I can accept that. I
I
just
would
think
say
as
so.
long as Tuts is up
Yeah.
here, then that I'm
yeah.
mostly happy.
And here's the thing, I fully see where you're coming from, Trajan. I think Tuts definitely is doing more for his team, and is certainly doing a lot of work. But the problem, and this is why I always get really pissed when Dinkido comes into the conversation, is because Dinkido he can't do more for his team, and his team is so damn good already. Like,
Yeah.
if anything, I think Dinkido taking a step back is actually props to him, because he knows that you can only
Yeah,
have
I
so many
agree.
carries on your team. Like, if he tried to carry too, somebody else is losing resources. And when Weiser's popping off, you don't have to carry, right?
Yeah.
Like it's the right move to step back and let Wiser carry. Titan is always going to be front and center. If you take resources from Titan, you are setting up your team for failure.
Yeah.
So because of that, like I put Tinkido very, very highly because we've seen him carry before on previous splits and iterations of Pain. The Trigo damage roster comes to mind when Tinkido had to step up, and he did that on his year. We know he can carry, but he also knows when he doesn't have to carry, and that to me is why I put him like right there. To me, he's always going to be like, not always going to be, but he has traditionally been Tinon's light. So as long as Tinon's is number one, odds are Tinkido's going to be number two.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. So yeah, I think Laleko has still been solid, but a bit unremarkable. Pilot has been trying very hard, but the team is a bit of a shambles, and it's kind of hard to put good games together sometimes, I think, for him. Shout out to Dio.
House might be on the rise.
Yeah, so I think House is certainly on the rise right now. I don't think he's had any truly disastrous games. He's had a couple of very unremarkable games. But he and Scary, I think, are the catalyst of Kaboom's revival right now, mainly.
Yeah.
That's right.
And he's then now against right back up top of damage share, like, and it's not close, you know, like huge. He's a hugely important influence on this team at this point. So we'll see if that continues, right? And maybe again, RMC and I can have this argument again at the end of the split. Hopefully when Hallis has a few more good games under his belt, and then we'll revisit this. So, fine. Bot lane. Shall we just go ahead and put Mr. Titan
Curry number one?
Let's just do this. Yeah, let's just. Why not?
Yeah.
Let's not even waste time, because I know that like there's potential. Well, we'll get to sport.
Yeah.
Bot laners, second place. We've taken number one. Have you gone far enough off of Root RMC to bump him out of second?
You see, it's kind of hard because in the first place, Brazil usually has good 80 carries. So it's always a tough conversation. Yeah, this was a tough one because I have two. I know who's going to be 2 and 3 in my head. I just don't know who's 2 and who's 3.
Yeah.
So I've got Root because I still think he's one of the steadiest 80 carries in the league. I think Loud ints pretty hard sometimes in the regular season.
Oh, they do.
So yeah, the fact that they are where they are is almost like 90% off Root's back.
Silly, yeah.
But the other one is Smalley, because Smalley has been so incredible that I don't know. I mean, K-Star's won more, right? So, but then Loud ints more. So it's like, how much of that Smalley, how much of that is Root on their teams, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll throw those two names in. I'll let y'all see what y'all like.
It's difficult because I'm thinking the exact same thing, like Root and Smiley, but it's just such small details, like in comparison between the two of them.
How good Smiley's Senna? Does Smiley have a good Senna? Have we seen it?
Why are we looking at Senna? I don't want to see Senna.
Because I hate Root Senna, so like.
Oh, okay. Let me have.
He has not played Senna this split, but I'm trying to remember. Let me take a look what he's been.
I'm trying to find a tiebreaker. You know, just like you're both really good. You both got slightly different approaches and styles, but you're both very good at it. You're both win condition players in your own way. How do I split the difference? Who's got the best Senna? Like,
he's actually not played Senna in Brazil at all.
Oh my word! We don't even know. Could be the greatest Senna of all time. Jesus.
He has 8 games of Senna, but that's from like career-wide.
This will be from like LFL or something. Like
that's LFL days. Yeah, 2020 he played 2 games. 2021 he played 3 games. 2022 he played 2.
I kind of.
He has a less than 50% win rate on it. If that.
Yikes. Okay, not a good Senna. Well, they can both join that, I guess. I think my gut says I want to keep Root above him for now. It's very close. And I think Root has had like a couple of a bad game or two now. BKS have also lost a couple, but they've been like, Smiley has been such a big part of their wins. Statistically, he's performing very, very well.
I think I have 1 point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's compare to the fact that Root was always the steady rock for Loud. But then you compare that to Smiley, who was in a not terrible, but terribly distant place last split to now this one, and how much he has impact right now, and how that is actually shifting not just the pace, but the quality and the strategy overall for VKS. I think I think this could be a good analysis, and then I would give it to Smiley because of that, having the amount of growth and the amount of presence that it was necessary to come back from some place that wasn't really good to a place where it's actually exceptional. So
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna be a dick and throw in another complication for y'all.
Okay.
Look at their supports,
yo.
because I agree, Smalley's doing better, but Smalley has prods.
Yeah,
Root
Prods is
Redbird.
literally.
Does have a better support. That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Why would you do that, bro?
It does. He just does. We just know it to be true. Because there were so many games, I feel like at the start, when like in the first few weeks when Loud were looking really good and like contesting for the top, like Root was like unreal gapping people, I feel like, if I remember. Like
Yes,
we were getting
100%.
like, you have received the gap from Loud Root. Like the gifts were out, the TikToks were coming
So
out.
good.
Yep.
We need to get one
So
to Smiley still, but I think I would go for Smiley in the end of it. I think. But
Sure.
I think, either way is fine. Super tight here. If I could give it to them both, I would, but that's not how we do things. So,
You know what, Root? If you want second, win more games.
yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Great top three. Absolutely banger top three.
Agreed.
With
Well,
IU,
let's gather support.
Brunsey right behind, NinjaKiwi hanging out, Trigo as well, as we
Is
mentioned.
Brunsey right behind? I don't know how I feel about Brunsey.
As
right
of
now.
late, he's picked up a little bit, but no, you're right. And maybe if we're saying right behind, he's maybe like 5th, 6th, and like IU, I think IU and Trigu maybe come first, and then Brunsey like behind them, perhaps. And then like
Of course, it would be
Trigo
Trigo at 4th. Jin player.
classic. That's where he loves to be.
There you go. There you go.
Intentional from Trigo.
Yes.
So support. Now, I slapped Curry in there already, and I was in my head. I was like, just be prepared for Soph to come at you with the Pro Delta angle for this one, because I know that you have been bigging up Pro Delta.
No,
a lot.
I can't do that in my sane mind. No, I really like Prods. I think
Not
Prods
in my
deserves the
sane
second
mind,
for
like
sure.
that.
But yeah, it's just a man. No, Cody is just doing triple the work. Like really is.
He's doing so much.
And he doesn't even need to do triple the work because he's got Titan, but he is
and he
still
does it
doing
anyway.
triple
It's
the
just out the
work.
goodness of his heart. He chooses to to crush it.
So yeah, to me Prods is the straight second. Yeah.
And then
agreed.
Jojo third.
That's what I had. Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
I kind of, so we could have had such an interesting discussion about third with Scamber if Fluxu had just stopped losing games.
Yep.
But
I
like,
thought exactly the
because
same.
I was so happy with what Scamber was doing. Like, I get the
Me
feeling
too.
like Prods and Jojo have huge intangibles that they add. Curry, I kind of get the sense that like the intangibles mostly sit with Titan and like maybe like Dinkato and Karaoke and like the veterans of that team, and Curry is like all pure value, like just excellent play all the time kind of thing. And that's kind of feels more like Scamber to me. Like Scamber felt a bit like Curry like, but he didn't have the same mission. There was like more Brom, more supporting rather than like leading from the support position.
Which is fine with Trigo.
Exactly, right? Which just fits his team comp.
Yeah,
So I think, again, just doing exactly what is required of him very, very well. Sadly, there's just been too many L's, man. So Scamber sadly falls out. But the fact that I would have had him that close, and I still would happily have him up in, like, to be honest, I'd probably just keep him 4th, actually, without too much discussion. I feel like we've had a lot, damages maybe there.
Well, I'll throw damage in.
Redbird maybe there. Yeah, so... So there are some contenders for that as well, but generally I feel like there's a bigger gap in support. Whereas like top lane, we're like, hey, what's so good, man, and like even mid lane, like almost everybody at this point, like there's a nice wide breadth of high performers, but I feel like the gap from top of support to bottom of support is very wide. Like
support and jungle felt the easiest. For me
Yeah.
to pick out top 3.
Yeah. So we'd have Prods and Jojo.
Broad second. Yeah.
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 Agreed.
Agreed. Yeah, it's very clear for me for supports. Like
Comfy.
Prods is really good. It's just literally, unfortunately, Kiri's beating him in almost every metric. Every
Just
statistic.
unfortunately, he's better than you in every way. Sadly.
Kind of. Hey man, okay. First of all, let me say up. I was a Prods truther in the first place. I was so upset when Payne let him go.
You absolutely
Yeah,
But-
me too.
I mean, it's hard. Like, as much as same as Soph, I guess. As much as we want to back up Prods, like there is no doubt right now, Curry is just built different. Right now.
So, our first All-Star team is just Payne with Tinones. How do we feel about Payne with Tinones?
I love it. I think it's wonderful.
You think we instantly
It
win
is
the
what it is.
CBLOL with this one? I kind of feel like we instantly win the CBLOL with this one.
Yeah, it's
I
the Payne
think we
split, right?
Yeah, because the step up
okay.
from mid lane is so massive. You know, Dinkado like to Tinones is just unbelievable gappenings going on here. You know, like
Actually, week 5, the CBLOL official broadcast also does the weekly MVPs. Their weekly MVPs for the Super Week was just Payne gaming across the board.
yeah,
So it's
like-
not that far off, like kind of what
absolutely.
we did. Unfortunately, they're just that good. Unfortunately, it looks like Riot just wants Loud to win again because they're nerfing AP junglers. So Karaoke is about to take a hit.
Yeah, back to Sedge,
Yep.
back to Xinjiao, back to Kha'Zix, lol.
Oh no, the Xin Xiao games was so bad last
They
split.
were
Jesus.
absolutely
They were traumatizing.
disgraceful.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I just don't want to see Lee Sin Shin for Karaoke.
let's-
Yeah, the Lee
let's
Sin.
not do
Sedge is
that.
fine. Maokai is fine. Heck, I'd even take a Wukong. I know that's not his special, but
Little cheeky
like,
Ivern, maybe?
utility or AP.
I could take
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, Ivern's actually not bad for him.
keep
Yeah, I'll
the
take
Ivern.
Ivern.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
So the second team, I worry that the second team might be missing like some juice, like because we've seen that FNB is very good, but when the rest of the team isn't able to like put the winning like play together, he struggles sometimes to do it. I'm wondering if like I'm maybe underselling Desamus and Pro Delta's ability to be that. Or maybe this would be the time for Dinkado to shift back into resource Dinkado, because I don't think FNB needs it, and I don't think Smiley necessarily needs a lot of resource either. So maybe we go back to carry Dinkado, and that's
Yeah, and on top of that, Smalley, even when he was struggling last split, the laning was struggling. His team fighting was still really, really solid, which is why BK did well. So I do think there's enough. This is just like a hyper stable roster. Like this is a roster where if they win a split, I think they're winning the next 3 splits in a row.
yeah. There's like
just
no monkey business on this roster.
no.
There is no.
Yeah.
It's not a very CBLOL feeling roster, despite the fact that it has
No.
you know.
You
4
know
out of
what?
5
Yeah, you're
perceived
totally
players.
right.
In a way, it reminds me of the 2021 Vorex roster, which was like FNB and his minions.
Yeah.
Except that in this case, they're all super minions with Baron buff. So it's
Yeah.
like
There you
Yeah.
go.
it is the place for FNB to shine, but also
Yeah.
like it's hyper stable.
Because we found this situation where we're getting to see more out of Desamus now consistently, whereas before sometimes we'd fade away a bit, and I just don't know if it's like if you don't have CL there, if we lose the Desamus buff, I don't know if it's like a CL buff for him. So like maybe,
I mean,
but
even
maybe once,
with CL there, Desamus takes some questionable first drakes a lot of time.
yes, he does. So. But then, yeah, and then Pro Delta as well. We know that Pro Delta, we've heard, I think he's a very vocal player, and I think is growing season on season. So, like, that could just step up to step into that shoe. So, yeah, very stable, low shenanigans, very high floor, I think, on this one for sure. Third team. Now, Root just feels a little out of place in this roster, I'll be honest. Because we've got
If we want to talk about variance and stable,
Kiari, the one of the our pre NinjaKiwi Elo-Helled contender. Shinny, a veteran legend of the scene. Daddy Tuts, who's I think maybe the youngest player on this roster inexplicably.
yeah, I think it's like a 20.
he's like
You
22 or
called
something.
him daddy when he's the youngest?
Well,
right?
he is a father. His
Yeah,
kid was at the stadium
yeah.
last week
He's
during Super
he's-
League.
Oh,
he's literal
okay,
father.
now
He
that
is a
makes
literal
sense,
father
okay.
Tuts. Despite the
Okay,
fact that
there's
he is
a big
tiny
difference
baby.
between
Yeah.
literal father and daddy. Come
I
on,
chose
Tracy.
daddy on purpose, and I stand by it.
Okay.
So it's we have this like because Kiari can do on his own and can be good team fights. We know Kiari and Shinny's good. We know there's a good top jungle duo there. They've played together good.
Yep.
Tuts as well.
That's
I
a
think
win
in his
con right
current
there.
form, his pool and his style is easy to slot into whatever. He's very self-sufficient right now, I feel, and he works well with the jungler
Yep.
in Wiz. And then we have Root and Jojo, which is an interesting one. Because Jojo is normally our assigned, like, psycho carry handler for, like, Titan and Bronze, and now Ayu, who's, like, got all the, like, Tasmanian Devils is, like, his remit.
Yeah.
But now he's got the opposite of that, and I wonder how that would work. Like,
yeah, I actually want to see this bot lane. Like, does Jojo go off the hinge? Because he said he's cooking, right? Like,
does he go crazy? Like,
yeah.
yeah.
I can't imagine a world in
Maybe
which
this is
Root
the
goes
moment.
crazy. So
Yeah. Root's,
Oh man, no, I picture the other way around. Like Root's still steady as a rock, like
Yeah.
peak performance all the time. But then Jojo, because he's lifting off, you know, like Rock Lee versus Garlish taking out the weights. You got them lifting off the Tasmanian Devil.
Yeah.
Just the weight and the responsibility of carrying and controlling these absolutely
He's like,
chaotic players.
Yeah.
And he's got Root and he's like, oh man, I can do my stuff and he's gonna be fine.
I can just roam.
I can go nuts now.
I could just roam mid, and he's okay. Wow, crazy.
Wait, I can play like Briar support and Neela support.
Right?
Oh, the Briar support. That's an
Amazing.
IU pick. That's coming out from IU at some point. He's going to give us that. Okay, so this one, I think that there's a lot of individual talent here, and then I guess with Jojo and Shinny, I feel like this is such a strong combo potentially, because they can flex Skarner between them, so good for them. And they're both like great frontliners, great decision makers. Normally, as I say, with Shinny, we're in a bit of a weird patch. We don't really know what's going on there, but we've seen great decision making from him, and then a very solid core of carries behind them with wide pool in top lane, very like low variance in bot lane, high performance, and then Tut's kind of rounding it out. So I think this is a very good third team as well. If you put the third team against the second team, who do you think wins in like a best of series?
The second, no doubt.
Yeah?
They're just like so well-rounded
Where
and controlled and just
So do you think it's not like there's one individual area or like a lane that they would win? It's just that they're better.
Oh, of course, it's got to be mid lane, Trajan.
Yeah,
Kristen
good one,
Kiddo's
mate.
that
Yeah, hilarious. Mate, they're gonna draft like Vi Ari for Disarmor Syndicator. They will both never press alt once and lose. That's what's gonna happen. Okay.
Okay, to be fair to Desamus, he's not karaoke. He knows how to press R and buy at least.
Yeah,
He does.
Dude, that was like one. What was that game? Like 2-11 or something? That Vi game from karaoke that one time last split. It was.
I don't know why they keep abandoning karaoke and buy. It tilts me watching.
They do.
It's not even
They
karaoke's
do.
fault actually. It's just
Yeah,
Yeah, like some good engages, and the team is like, you mean now? You
Yeah.
mean we're going now?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the problem, like the reason why I have second string just beating third string is just because just across the board, I think the only role where I think it's like super close is bot between Root and Smalley. Right?
Yeah.
Like everything else, I genuinely think the second string stronger, and even worse, it's the second string or second all pro is stable. None of these guys are going to throw, so you can't even rely on them making mistakes. You got to force mistakes from them, from a bunch of players who just generally
really do that.
don't- Yeah, like the only one who kind of does questionable stuff sometimes is Desamus. And with these laners he has, go for it. We've seen how many times now when Desamus makes a mistake, the rest of VKS are able to respond.
Yeah.
We put FNB over Higo. I mean, Dinkato is rock solid. Pro Delta is on that team, and a lot of times Pro Delta will make the plays to help them come back in. So I'm fine with that. Like,
Yeah.
I just think this is an unshakable second.
It probably comes down to a 5v5 at Baron or Elder, and I'd love to see it, and then.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
you run that scenario 100 times, the second team probably comes out statistically winning more times. But like in a
That's
best
the
of five,
maybe Root pulls an insane like 1v5 like
Right.
he has against Pain.
insane Root Zeri game maybe, or he drops a Sivir like out of nowhere and then like gets the 6 items and ricochets and pentakills. Like there's just so many elements I think that could pop off and carry these games, which is pretty cool. And then the first team would just clean everybody out, and pretty easy. I think.
They win.
So-
This is just how it goes.
Unless Karaoke gets Lee Sin, and then they would lose to everybody. So
Yeah, unless they nerf AP junglers like they're about
Yeah.
to. If not, I don't even think the other teams make it to 30 minutes against the
Yeah.
first Soul Pro.
yeah, we'll just need to see if when they do nerf the AP junglers, if Karaoke goes back to being a very very good Sejuani jungler, or isn't quite all there Sejuani jungler. And we'll see.
No AP carries, are you okay?
No, they're not. Yeah. Wait, did they?
There's no way you just made that joke.
We are not okay after that.
It's a bit of a dated reference, I'll be honest, guys. An oldie for the goodie, you know?
It's in the name. It's right there. I can't not.
Yeah.
It only makes sense with you guys because you're supposed, but in Portuguese you do pronounce it carioca.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an English thing.
Yeah.
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 So
Okay. That's all our that kind of wraps it up, I think. We've gone a nice
fun
hour
stuff.
and 20x. And I'm happy with these for sure. I like that we have a decent split. We have some representatives from other teams as well, not even all in the Bad Awards, which is good. And yeah, I think particularly these all-star teams get me very excited, because when the eventual like loud roster blow up happens at some point, and if like Dinkado, Robo, Root, if they're not ready to stop, like Croc comes back from military service maybe at some point. These these elements.
We've had Trick, we've had Melrag,
I just pictured the Croc come back from military, like Jungkook came back from the military. That's just what I'm picturing.
But what about...
Notice they're all junglers too who are coming back from military service.
But what about the Wiz come back? He's doing fine. He's doing good, even, right? So, and there's room to grow here. So it's not all bad, all right? Wiz is laying the groundwork.
Let's finish out the split first, Trajan.
And then we'll see. We'll see. Okay, that's gonna do it for us. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Let us know, of course, in the Discord, on Twitter, on social media, whatever, what you think of our picks. If you have your own picks that you would take for these, let us know about them. If you want to come and talk to us about them, you can join our community Discord, and you can follow us on Twitter at CBLOL_English, on Twitch at CBLOL_English, and on TikTok at CBLOL English. Thank you very much, and we will see you next week when the games happen again. Super Week again.
Woohoo!
More and more games. Poggers all around. We'll see you there.
Bye-bye.